Delators, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. I hope to be with you soon. Majority of us were so excited with the speeches our leaders gave us during the UN Security Council. And then we were so proud of these leaders. And sometimes when we see something going wrong and we try to point out, we get people who will come and refer us to the speech, as if speech is what solves problems of Africa. Like I told you, if it is speech that solves problems in Africa, by now we wouldn't be facing all that we are facing. But because the leaders know very well that this is what we want, that is the reason to which that is what they are giving us, instead of us looking at them taking actions against certain things. According to Professor Lumumba, Donald Trump, the United States of American president, insulted world leaders during the meeting, and we had African leaders who were there clapping, listening, enjoying the speech. But when it came to their own that were speaking, even when the speech made sense, and that is the reason to which they were all there, they decided to pay less attention to it. This is the problem of the African, that we do not care about ourselves. We are always interested in what the oppressor will say. Even if they are treating us bad, we love it. And that is the reason to which, like he said, we are dying in the Mediterranean Sea just to get there. Because we have been programmed in a way that slavery is not something that we cherish so much. We are now offering ourselves for slavery. But we are the same people who pointed fingers at our forefathers that they were primitive. And that was why they allowed themselves to be enslaved, even when they rose to fight against slavery.
Why is it last week there was the United Nations General Assembly? Even when the President of the United States of America was insulting everybody, African leaders sat there. But when their fellow African head of state is talking, they are busy doing other things. Who cast us? Who bewitched us? These are the uncomfortable questions that we must ask here. We have been too nice to each other for too long. The net effect is that if you go into any African environment, if you go to any African school and you ask young men and women, do you want to leave Africa? 9 of them want to run away. That is why they are dying in the Mediterranean Sea. That is why they are dying off the coast of Senegal. That is why they are being humiliated at embassies. You go to the embassy of any Western country, in any African country, and you'll see the humiliation. They ask you, even your great-great-grandmother, who died long before you are conceived as an idea. Those are the circumstances in which we find ourselves. On average, many of you who are present here, allow me to be morbid, in the next 40 years you'll be upstairs. The question is, what are you leaving for your children and children's children? What is it? These are the questions. These are the uncomfortable questions that we must ask. And these questions must be answered by Nigeria primarily. I've said not once, not twice, but times without number, that the day Nigeria wakes up, that is the day Africa wakes up. You know, a friend of mine once told me, if you go anywhere in the world and you do not find a Nigerian, run out of that place. There is nothing there. And those of you who have had occasion to travel, you go to different parts of the world, you look for the best doctors, Nigerian. Look for the best engineers, Nigerians. Look for some of the best lawyers, Nigerians. The Nigerians are everywhere doing great things across the continent of Africa. And whenever Nigeria has decided to provide leadership, Africa has changed. You ask the Liberians with ECOMOG. When Nigeria stood up, that country was stabilized. When there was mischief in Banjul in the Gambia, and Nigeria stood up, that country was stabilized. When Nigeria did not do as well as she should have done in the Sahel, the problem is not stabilized. The question is, why is Nigeria a reluctant leader? Nigeria should be the leader economically. You know, when Nigerians say, and they debate with South Africa, and sometimes with Egypt, which is the biggest of the economies, I laugh. I laugh because the economies that they are talking about using the unreliable GDP, but we must use it, is that Nigeria is 500 billion USD GDP with a population of over 200 million. Singapore, which is smaller than Lagos, with a population of 6 million, has a GDP of 564 billion. So the debate between Nigeria and Egypt and South Africa is a debate between two dwarfs as to which one is the taller of them. Even if one is taller than the other, they are still dwarfs. The day that I will celebrate Nigeria is the day Nigeria tells me we are 2 trillion economy. And Nigeria can achieve it. And Nigeria must achieve it. What does Nigeria not have? Is the oil that is produced in Nigeria different from the oil that is produced in Saudi Arabia? Is it different than the oil that is produced in Kuwait, that is produced in Bahrain, that is produced in Qatar? Why must Nigeria not be the leader that has pipelines across the continent of Africa? Why can she not do it? She can. But we have allowed ourselves to be paralyzed by analysis and to be paralyzed by lamentation. It is your own kinsman, Chinua Achebe, who said that adversity is a problem of humanity, but we must never allow ourselves to be the victims or the agents of adversity. We must allow ourselves to be the conquerors of adversity, Chinua said. And I remember so very vividly in 1983 when Chinua Achebe wrote the little book, The Trouble with Nigeria, and he simply said that the problem with Nigeria, and he there said the rest of Africa is simply and squarely one of leadership. And his leadership at all levels. Many times we think that politics is the only site of leadership. No. Leadership is at all levels. Why can't you, if you've run this beautiful club for 82 years and run it well, why can't that be upscaled and replicated in every other sector of Nigeria? Why? Why is it that in this micro environment, you do not care who is who in this club? Everybody has a sense of esprit de corps, a sense of camaraderie. You do not care from which ethnicity you come from. But when you want to run the club that is Nigeria, you now talk tribe, you now talk religion. Why? These are the uncomfortable questions that you must confront, because if you do not confront them, then Nigeria and Africa will continue to punch below her weight. I'm suggesting to you that the time is now that we must ask ourselves what it is that we can do. We have lamented for too long. Let us now ask ourselves what it is that Nigeria can do in the area of education. You know, many of you who are present in this assembly may be described as upper middle class or the top class. You are the best of the best. You are the creme de la creme of Nigeria. And when you are the creme de la creme of Nigeria, it means you are also the creme de la creme of Africa. But the question is, does Africa feel you? Does Africa feel you in the area of education? You know, not so long ago, I was at an African university. And at that university, they said that their greatest desire was that they wanted to be like Harvard and Cambridge. And I said, why do you want to be like Harvard? Why do you want to be like Cambridge? Why can't you not just be you? One of the things that we Africans must do is to exercise the ghost of low self-esteem and to wear the spirit of self-belief. The day we do that, that is the day that Africa will begin to grow. One of the things that gladdens my heart when I come to Africa, to West Africa, and particularly to Nigeria, is the manner in which the Nigerians dress. It gives one authenticity. It gives one confidence. But the question that I ask, are the clothes made in Nigeria? And if they are not made in Nigeria, it means the jobs are not in Nigeria. We have exported all our jobs to China. I'm asking us that if Africa and Nigeria is to be resuscitated to realize our potential, I want to see Nigeria grow in higher education. The other area in which Nigeria must provide leadership is in the area of the economy. You know, not so long ago, Nigeria was just about to provide leadership once again. And there was going to be a currency in this region called the eco. And we were all happy, those of us who love the continent of Africa. We were looking forward to the day when you would come here and I would have the eco, not the dollar. Something happened. I'm asking you who are shakers and movers. Shake those who are in government. Honorable Governor, Deputy Governor, ask yourself, 20 years from today, when you are no longer governor, and history is written about you, what will they say? What will they say of your watch? What did you deliver? What did your administration deliver? History is harsh. It passes verdict that is without emotion. I'm asking all of us who are present here to ask those uncomfortable questions in the area of the economy. I'm asking those of us who are here to ask in the area of health. Why is it that young Africans are still dying of diseases that were conquered by Europe 100 years ago? What is happening to us? Why is it that when we have COVID, we have to import things from China? What became of our pharmaceutical industries? What became of our research institutes? Why do we pay our academics a pittance, peanuts, while our thieves thrive? Why? These are the questions that we must ask. We are talking at a time when we are talking about the Africa Agenda 2063 and Africa Continental Free Trade Area. What are we going to trade in if we are not manufacturing? A friend of mine, whom I met when I was being brought to this site, former military general, as we were moving, for some reason he said about electricity, that electricity in Nigeria is epileptic. And it is epileptic indeed. Not only in Nigeria, everywhere. There is not a single place that you travel to Africa in today and you are in a hotel room, within 1 hour electricity has gone. Electricity is not rocket science. But for some reason, we are unable to supply stable electricity. Who cast us?
Now look at us when we go to the embassies. The kind of treatment we receive. Unnecessary questions that we are not supposed to be asked are the questions that these people always ask the African. Our grandparents, our whatever. They don't even want to see us. And look at all the conditions when we meet them, what they still do to us. And the visa fee wouldn't be refunded to us. We are treated anyhow because of the way we treat our own selves. We are so happy listening to these same people that we know are oppressing us. What is wrong with the African? Who has done this to us? Especially when it came to Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, you know they will always give us accurate information. Unlike these ones that will always go and give us speech, they are doing the doing. And they were exposing things that were uncomfortable to these people. So they will never pay attention. And the youths all over were excited, hailing these leaders for the speech they gave. And still the African youth is hailing these people for what they have said. What is wrong with us? Like Nigeria, he said, the day Nigeria will unite, the problems of Africa will solve. But that Nigeria is reluctant to do that. So we need to channel our energy towards Nigeria to make sure that Nigeria rises. If Nigeria is the nation that will set the African free and bring us all together, we need to fight for Nigeria to be united. Why is it that Africa, we are the problem of our own selves? Like Captain Ibrahim Traore said, we heard all African leaders calling for Palestine to be free, yet we have this same thing happening in Congo. We have it happening in Sudan and so many parts of Africa. Look at Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Yet the African leader, none of them mentioned this during their speech. And African youth are hailing these leaders for the speech they gave, for not fighting for the unity. This is not what we should be fighting for. The leaders are the problem of Africa, and we, the youth, are equally the problem of Africa because we are not ready to emancipate ourselves. We still don't know who is a true leader in Africa. We believe these leaders blindly because we so much love party, especially the nation called G. They would defend everything that is not defendable because we so much love party. There is nobody that will give us the freedom we are looking for if we do not rise up to fight for the freedom ourselves. The Africans still do not know that we are still under slavery. And the leaders that we see that we claim we have elected, these leaders are the slave masters who are doing the bid of their masters. And that is why everything of theirs is different from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. As they are offering us speech, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are giving us actions and doing everything possible to set us free. So we need to wake up and start knowing that the African is still not free. And the leaders that you believe in them are the reason to which we are not moving forward. Until you stop believing them, we will continue to be suffering and they will continue to be feeding us with speech instead of them rising to set us free. United we stand, divided we fall. And united we keep standing forever and ever. So that's the latest around the world and in Africa.